Hello, this is Lisette Root of Simply Lisette, and today I would like to show you my miniature gel prints. These were done 2¼ by 3¼ end wraps, which are a salon product, and they're made of wet strength tissue in the form of a little rectangle. So a little tricky because they're small, but I'm going to see if I can share them with you. We'll see how this movie works out. I did it with iMovie, but it doesn't show the entire piece, no matter how big or how small it is. It kind of zeroes in on part of it, and that doesn't really show you everything. So I'm going to try this. These were made just as if I were making a giant botanical. And I really love the way they came out. They'll be going in my little journals most likely. And they were a lot of fun to make, but they were very time intensive, so you have to have a good reason for making them. I have lots of papers that I make for stash, just for journals and collage, and these will fit right in there. Used all kinds of paint and all kinds of foliage, some stamps, some splatters of paint, and I really enjoyed the process. Even though it is fiddly, it was fun. I like exploring different sizes, and I had all of these are life-size vegetation, so that means I've been out there collecting very tiny little things and pressing them and getting ready to use them in this very project. I have so many notebooks full of little botanicals, it's not even funny, but it's a lot of fun. I like to be outdoors anyway, and so that's always a pleasure. I'm sure people look at me pretty funny when I'm stepping down into the ditch and pulling up weeds and packing them away and taking them home, but that's an artist for you. These were interesting because when I made them, I ended up having to coat it with a coat of gel medium and letting it dry before I could pull it off, because the things had adhered to the plate and they didn't want to come off. So that's how I did that. And actually they're very sturdy. You can see they're shiny, slightly rubbery, but it's a wonderful method that I will use again deliberately. I love all the little shapes of the dried things, and there's some things like this, the little wild carrots, the Queen Anne's lace, that are continuing to grow through the winter. Most of the time here in Southern Oregon, we have a little bit of stuff growing all the time, and that's nice. Roses will grow pretty much through the winter if you groom them properly, trim them and everything. They give you flowers almost the entire year long. And I do love roses. I think you'd have to be pretty weird not to love a rose. But like William Shakespeare said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So the name really doesn't matter as much as the fragrance and the beauty of it. I find myself a little hoarse today. I'm not sure why. We've had a lot of very intense smog here for days and days that's lasted through until mid-afternoon, and it just traps all of the exhaust, all of the smoke from fireplaces, and that part's been a drag. That's probably why. However, the fog itself is really good because You know, the redwood trees and the sequoias, that's how they get their water. Almost all of it is from the fog. And they've really suffered in the last few years because there hasn't been hardly any fog. So I'm glad to see that there's fog right now. These are a little bit problematic here because they are very, very thin, but we're going to see what we can do here. They're going to curl up on me when I lay them down, but they'll glue down just fine. They're just super touchy. Pretty though. These gave me great detail. Pretty much, this was when I was visiting with Becky Bokern. She was working on 3x5 cards, or pardon me, ATC cards, and I was working on these tiny little gel prints. We had a wonderful conversation. I think it lasted about an hour, and started to get to know each other. And I got to meet her snake, Rio, and that is a beautiful snake. Just really gorgeous. Never seen one quite like it. I can't remember what kind she said it was, but instead of regular looking scales, it looks like pixels. And oh gosh, do they shine. So yeah, that was fun. With these, I put a couple of colors, very faint colors of Nick Pro Iridescent in the background. And then I did my prints with Payne's Gray. And then at the end, I took gold and splattered it. Very fine gold dots. And I do like the way it came out. These are such pretty little papers. Yeah, they teach you patience. You have to have patience to be a good artist. I really believe that. There are some people who can just throw things on, you know, big stuff, but for me, I like to take my time and really get into the piece that I'm working on. That's a charming little print. So, if you like this little video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.